So just a bit of a trigger warning. Obviously on this channel we speak mental health. There'll be all sorts of topics come up within the conversations on here with the guests I have. So just a trigger warning. Obviously, if it's not your thing, mental health discussions and mental health topics, the whole aim of this channel is to raise awareness for sensitive subjects, really, and try and help people watching who may be going through similar situations or heartache as the guests I'm going to have on here. So just like I say, a bit of a warning. If that's not your sort of thing, that's absolutely fine. Maybe just turn it off now. But if you're here for that, that's brilliant. And like I say, we'll get into it. Thank you. Hello everybody, welcome back to Full Time to Talk. I'm delighted to be joined by a good friend of mine now from the YouTube online scene. We have some very deep chats, don't we, pal, on voice notes on WhatsApp, but he's a good friend of mine now, is Jam. How are you doing, buddy?
All good, mate. Yeah, just like I said to you off camera, I've been toying around with my camera angles, making sure I look good for the video, you know what I mean? So
you look
good, mate. Sure, got my little wallpaper behind as well, just to bring the colour out of my eyes and stuff. But
you look really good, mate. You look really good. You look well. And yeah, so obviously this channel's about mental health with football as well. So I'd like to touch a little bit like that to start with. Big Leeds fan.
Massive Leeds fan. Yeah.
From Wales, born and bred.
Yeah, which is strange. Obviously, when people think Wales, they think Cardiff fan or Newport County or Swansea City fan. He must be, but no, it didn't work out there.
How did that come about then? Why you were a Leeds fan? Let's touch on that first.
So probably the same as most people, really, mate. From their mum or dad. Well, so with me, it was me and my brother from my dad. So my dad's started supporting Leeds in the 70s, as it goes. The great Revy team.
Yep.
And he said he watched them in a Charity Shield final one day. He said he loved all the whole white strips, and I think they had sock tags on as well. So he just said he fell in love with the kit ever since then. And his dad, believe it or not, was a Liverpool fan.
Oh.
So they were they were obviously the two biggest teams in the land at the point. So I think he did it for the kit wise, but I think he did it because he wanted to have a bit of banter with his old man as well. Just to, sort of say, we're better than you or we're better than them. And so that's where it came from. My dad, mate, followed Leeds for years and years. He was at Bournemouth when it all, the promotion party and stuff. He was down there. Yeah, I think he drove all the way from Wales in like a little tiny red car with 3 of his mates. Strolled down there, having a few beers. Not causing trouble, just having beers in the car and just having a party, going down there for the atmosphere. So my dad was massive at it, and then I came along there in '92, and we won the league in '92. So just saying,
decent year that, mate. Decent year that, mate. No,
not bad at all. But yeah, mate, it's mad. It's just literally now me and my brother are just when we were younger, we used to go out in the park, and I'd be calling out for Duca every time I took a swipe at the ball. Then my brother would be calling out that Lee Bowyer and all these different players and. Yeah, just like got some great memories of growing up with my family and watching like the O'Leary's there's an O'Leary's Likely Lads video. Can't remember what season it was, but we used to play that every time and watch it together, me and my brother. And we used to roll up socks and play it in the living room and just anything we get our hands on that looked like a ball, we just literally just do that. But mate, yeah, huge Leeds fan. I'll be honest, mate. It's such a big passion of mine, as you can probably tell from the videos we've done together, and it's just crazy, mate. Honestly.
Yeah, you just ooze passion for Leeds United, and I'm always really intrigued to know how fans who aren't born and bred in Leeds have that connection. Because obviously for me, it's hard for me to understand when you're not from that area how you can. But since doing the YouTube stuff and connecting with and making new friends outside Leeds, which obviously that's happened in abundance now doing this. It's Darren and Dillo on Leeds brothers, from Ireland. It's just instilled in me. There's no difference whether from Leeds or whether you're not. When you love this club, you love this club, and you guys absolutely, it just oozes out of you, mate.
That's the thing, mate. And to be honest, like it probably might surprise a few people, but Leeds is just as big as Man U and Liverpool around here. Honestly,
like hearing that. Well, like hearing that, mate.
My sister works in the bar, and she literally says to me every day, "Oh, I've had another Leeds fan come in." I thought, why does it surprise you? Like literally just like, but honestly, mate, it's class. There's so many people, and every time you walk past them in the street, even in Wales, you give it a little, a little salute and
Love
stuff.
that,
And
mate.
they
Love
just,
that.
it's just class. It's like I say, it's more to a club than me. It's a
Yeah.
passion and something that I just can't, But yeah, just
And obviously, so you've got quite a. I don't know how to put it. Your story, it proper hit. It touched me. It hit me. Like when we spoke, and that's some of the stuff you go into, which you'll go into today. It's a story of triumph, really, because you're still here and you've got so much to be excited for, which we'll touch on later about. What you've got to come in your family, which is beautiful. But yeah, football for me, as you know, is an escape. When I've had my struggles, obviously I physically go to Ellen Road, but just in terms of when you've had your struggles, has a game on a weekend, whether you've travelled to Leeds or whether you've watched it on TV, has that Leeds United sort of, in the back of your mind always been there to think, right, Saturday I can watch that, has it always been sort of a crutch throughout all your tough moments?
Yeah, massively, mate. Literally, even the Chilino days, and even Steve Evans as our gaffer, and those days like that, mate. Honestly, it sounds sad, Matty, but at one point, I didn't. I was not in employment. I was just sat at home thinking, what am I doing with my life? And Leeds was something I was looking forward to on a weekend, just to sort of escape reality for 90 minutes.
Really, even though we were shite.
Yeah, even though we were shite, it was kind of like, well, hang on a minute, this is something that and it's something I could like bond with my dad and my brother with as well. Like, they could kind of like, it was the only time when the times where I would smile, Matty, and laugh, and score a goal. The other time, it was just misery and thinking, what am I doing in my life?
It's mad, isn't it? Like football, it brings so many people together. It is such a crutch for so many people, and it is, I speak to missus sometimes because all I speak about is football, Leeds United, and, they don't, our lass doesn't always understand why it's such a big part of my life, but it just is. It's just that escape from reality. It's that little boy inside me that's still kicking that ball around on the street as a kid, wanting to play at Wembley and score in the FA Cup final, and all those thoughts you have as a kid. Even though I know I can't do that now at 38, and that's not stone by that's an age. I'm about, not far off in stone. But just that, it's something that I always think I'm a bit of a big kid still, and football is still it takes me back to my childhood, It's just like back in Premier League now, we start thinking of those sticker books when I was a kid, and it's just always been my escape, even when there were nothing to escape from. It but always my, little bit of out of reality, and I absolutely love it, and it's universal. And I know, regardless of how crap we were at times, mate, it's always been a running joke. Leeds fans can laugh at themselves, can't they, Jam? We have got a decent sense of humour, and we were shite, but it was our load of shite, wasn't it? It was us. We didn't care. We were shite, but we were in it together. So regardless of that, it's fascinating to know. It was still sort of your crutch, and I think it's something that we all have, regardless 100%. Of how they're doing on the pitch, Jam.
100%, mate, and it still is now. Like I said, these conversations, even with you, Matty, it's it's only been a few minutes, but I can feel my foot going with excitement. Just talking about,
yeah,
it's just you should never let that go. Our kid, the little kid inside us. It's kind of it's what makes us today as well.
No, 100%, 100%. I mean, just having kids, it keeps me young-ish. And like I say, through my story, I feel like I sort of lost my innocence a bit way before my time.
Yeah.
So it's something I'm a big kid really at heart, and it's something I instill in my kids just to enjoy being young and enjoy that. And luckily, one of my boys in particular is massive on football, massive on Leeds United, and regardless of what they choose to do in life, I love that. One of my kids is. It just reminds me of me as a little boy, with that enthusiasm for football. Everything's just that. So it's just a proud dad moment at the minute that I'm sort of sharing that with one of my boys, especially. So there's things you will have to come as well, mate. So
that's the thing, mate. But it's gonna get better when he gets older. Little fear when he gets.
Classmate, yeah.
You can show him like all the different memories, like obviously promotion, 100 points. You can be like, oh, this is what happened in 2024-25 season. Little things like that you can share with them, and it's just class, mate.
I was showing him YouTube clips yesterday of David Batty, right? So because I've told you before, he's a little warrior on pitches, I think, a little beast. He just flies into tackles, wins ball. He's just got no fear. Been watching David Batty videos and Vinnie Jones and saying, this is what you do, mate. This is how you play football. And he's just, wow, Dad, look at that. Was that not a red card, man? No, son, it wasn't. That one wasn't a red card. It would be now.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, that was me as a player, Matty, as well. Like you touched on with Theo. I've literally not much technical ability. I could pass. I was a good passer of the ball, but my job was to win the ball and smash a few people in. Obviously fairly. But that was my game. I literally take that out of my game. you're looking at someone who should be playing at, you know, dog and duck. But
dog and duck. So bringing it back to sort of mental health, what were your sort of thoughts on mental health, maybe before you had your own experience with your struggles and things like that? What's your, I spoke to Darren about it from on Leeds Bros, and we're saying this, you know, there's that stigma attached to it. A lot of people do talk, a lot of people do this now, but there's still a hell of a lot of people, you know, committing suicide, Jam. The rates are still through the roof. So yeah, there's more people talking about it, but there can't be clearly enough people talking about it because it's still a massive problem. What's your sort of thoughts towards that?
Honestly, mate, I've always had this sort of, and you're probably going to think I'm mad for saying it, but I've always had like an inkling of there's something, especially with my brain, there's always been something that's not been quite wired right. And I mean, as a kid, I was always anxious. So I'd say from about the age of 9, 10, that's when I first started realizing about mental health and stuff.
Really?
And you're probably thinking that young. You think but honestly, it's not me being big-headed or anything, but my missus always takes the mick out of me now. She goes, "You're all brains but no common sense." I could turn a plug on and that would be in like water coming up here, and I wouldn't think about it before processing it.
Right. Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, I think I was a bit more, for my age, I felt like I was in more touch with my feelings a bit more.
Yeah.
So touching on your question, Matt, it's such a sad thing to hear some, you know, young guy or young woman taking their lives and just feeling like they've got nowhere to turn to. And unfortunately, mate, I've been there myself, you know. I'm touching on what I said about, you know, me being 10 years old. I remember being bullied in school. I had 2 best mates at the time. And I'd go in and we talk about football most of the time. Yeah. So one day one day randomly, I went in, sat on the table next to him, was talking to him, and they would ignore me. And I was thinking, what have I done? What's going on here? Like, that went on for about a few weeks. And every time the teacher sort of pulled us up on it, they would get us in a room together. We'd all talk about it. Then they'd be talking, you know, as if everything was normal. But then when the teacher went away, that was when they would start again. Like, there's nothing physical bullying or anything like that. It was all mental stuff.
Right.
So I remember the first time I sort of ever, the first time I ever self-harmed was when I was about 10. And when I say self-harm, what I was doing was trying to make myself ill to avoid school, pretty much. So what I would do, I would go in the cupboard and I'd find like hand wash, and I'd start chugging it.
Wow.
Start chugging it and thinking, right, I feel sick, but I got to keep it down. Now, what I would do then, it sounds quite manipulative in a way.
Yeah.
I would listen to my mum and dad walking past, and as soon as they did, I would pretend I would throw it back up then. So they'd be like, "Oh, he's too ill to go to school tomorrow. Or he's too ill to go." Thing. Now, I've never spoke. They don't even know that, man.
Yeah. Mum and dad. And did this work, Jam? Did this work? It got you off school?
It did for one day, and then you're back to square one again. And you're thinking, and then mum and dad, I think they probably maybe had an inkling of it. But what I will say is, from that is, you know, I eventually got over it, but that was the last year of primary school. So I went into my first year then of high school, flourished then because I got away from those 2 boys. Then I went with my cousin, then basically come along. Well, my cousin's always been there, but you know what I mean, in school environment, we went to different primary schools. Started mingling with him, and he was a big part of my life, and we'll probably touch on a bit. Unfortunately, I lost him to cancer years later.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, all about just coming out of my shell really in high school, and you know, I was hit again. I basically got bullied again in year 9. Something happened that a boy got a wrong end of a conversation. He heard me say something that was taken out of context, come along and just literally punched me square in the face.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, obviously, I'm this young now, mate. I'm thinking, like, what am I doing? I'm soft as well, mate. I literally freeze. I freeze in those moments. So I'm thinking,
I would have been same, Jam, to be fair.
Yeah, I haven't got a bad bone in my body, mate. You know, and I like to give it a big one, but I just would never do anything like that. And then again, nothing really. That was the only thing that happened. But it was mentally every day I'd walk past him and he'd laugh. And he'd go with his mates, oh, look, and then he'd be like, oh, God, again. Yeah. So that was it. And eventually then my cousin one day said, because all I was doing, mate, was coming home from school playing on my Xbox. So one day then he said, Jam, why don't you just come out and hang with us? Like, just play football or just, you know, sort of just you know, as kids do, make loiter on the streets and that kind of thing, have a laugh, you know, and mate, it was the best thing he could have ever done for me, and he'll never realise that, but like literally from that moment, mate, it was just. So sorry, mate, I know I'm rambling on a bit. I'm just trying to do a bit of time. I
want to know everything, really, mate. So I want you to go. Just honestly, the floor is yours, pal.
Yeah. So I did all that from school again. Got over that little blip, and you know, did my GCSEs, got good grades, went into high school. Sixth form. Then went into that, struggled in sixth form. But it's probably one of the biggest things that happened in my life. Then was started employment in a sports shop. I was about 16, 17.
Yeah.
So I went in and out, and I was, you know, obviously you're nervous as you are. You're trying to make friends, make a good impression, that kind of thing. Anyway, this guy comes along, who's working there. He's an older member of staff, and we're talking. We're really friendly. I thought, he's a good guy. This guy, you know, he's a proper good. You know, got my best intentions. Only a year older than me, so I was 17 and he was 18. But the thing is, Matty, in my head, which I think that's an extra year of development, an extra year of learning about life, and that's all he did was work in a sports shop. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, it progresses, and I get a few people coming up to me and saying, you know, you want to be careful now. I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, he's a gay man. I thought, all right, that's fine. It is what it is. Like, doesn't matter. I used to. I don't matter, mate. No matter what colour your skin is or your sexuality, 100%. Doesn't matter to me. No. As long as you're a good person. Yeah. Happy days. Yeah. Anyway, one day, a couple of things that stick out to me. One day I was working on a Saturday and I worked till 7 in the morning till 12. Yeah. I remember I didn't have no money on me or anything, no lunch. And then basically what they did was someone didn't turn up for their shift. So they said, Jam, will you? Like to say Jam, you know, it's Jamie, because obviously Jam's a less informal thing. So we work until 6 o'clock. I said, yeah, that's fine. More money, and you know, in my pocket to go out in the night and stuff. But
of course.
Anyway, he said, I got no money, mate. How do I? He goes, don't worry, I'll go to the shop and I'll get you some stuff now. And then thanks, mate. Being naive and thinking, what a good guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, comes back. I go in the staff room. And I'm thinking, right, he said, I've got you stuff. I thought, mate, you're a legend. Thank you very much. And he's like, yeah. There's a few things that I want from you first. I thought, right, okay. Anyway, I get pushed into the toilet now. Wow. The door locks. All of a sudden, then it's like little things like grabbing my arms and thinking, he's like, just all these, as you can imagine, whispering things in my ears and all this kind of thing, right? So I just freeze. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, it progresses on, and you know, I'll let your imagination to, you know, I'll let your imagination do the sort of thing as it does after it. But I could just imagine. I just felt disgusting after it. No real words to sort of to explain what happened there. And like I said, it didn't go as far as, you know, full on the full way, if you know what I mean.
No.
But a lot of grabbing and a lot of, like, you know, top lifting and, you know, grabbing my bum and stuff, and you know, under my shorts and grabbing and fondling and stuff. And then it was weird because he'd apologise then after do it, and he'd hug me.
Yeah. And at that point, I just creeped out, disgusted, and
disgusted, mate. Carried on. So that was one thing that sort of stood out for me, but I won't go massively into detail because I've got too much to say about it.
Yeah, no.
That happened, and that happened over 4 years. That was probably like 3 or 4 times a week. It would happen over the span of 4 years. And
did you confide in anyone, Jam? Did you tell anyone about this at that time? No, nobody.
No, I know. I felt ashamed, mate. Really, I felt like I had nowhere to turn to. I felt like, you know, who did I? It reminded me. You did a video the other day of putting on a mask.
Yeah,
mate. I was a master of it. I was literally just like, I go home and my mum and dad would be like, we're gonna have a family night tonight. We're gonna have a takeaway and stuff. Yeah. And they were like, good day at work. Oh, fantastic. Like, really good.
Did the issues with this man consume your life for these 3 or 4 years? Is it pretty much first thing you thought about before you went to a shift? Last thing you thought about before you closed your eyes? Was it that powerful?
Yeah, I mean, we used to have our like staff rotor on the notice board. And I'd look at it and I'd see what days he was working the same as mine. And if he wasn't in, mate, That would be like Christmas Day. It sounds awful, but I know that it'd be a great day. I could, talk with other staff members. Because I'll be honest, Matty, I felt like I was in a relationship with him.
Yeah.
That's how much control was there. I didn't realise I was too nice of a guy.
They're always dead nice and dead charming, aren't they? And he's groomed you really. He's seen that. I mean, when I used to work at Matalan, I had a relationship, as in a friendly relationship with someone who were only a couple of years older than me, just as mates. There were no like that go on, but I remember how I looked up to him. So the fact that he was close in age, and I lived a very sheltered life. I weren't allowed off my street as a child till I'd started work at Matalan at 17. So I were very controlled. So when I went to that place of work, I looked up to people who were only a year, 2 years older than me, who had all this freedom and went out and did this. So even though it was close in age, I can sort of see how someone can get that control over you. You can maybe look up to them in the first instance. The age really is secondary in terms of, if you look up to them and they're quite confident and really nice person, or seem to be a nice person, they can sort of, he's definitely sort of groomed you to get you where he wants you. And unfortunately for you and fortunately for him, you've sort of frozen, hadn't known where to turn, and it's given him longevity to that sort of level of abuse, which is it's awful to hear, mate. I can't lie.
No, I know, mate. Again, it's, to be honest, there's no easy way of really sort of coming out and say it. Do you know what I mean? And like you said there, you're right. He was a few years older than me, but still, you look up to these people and think, he seems like he's got his stuff together, and everyone thought he was funny, and I thought, like if I'm half of him, but then later down the line, you think, what all that was about. But anyway, the 4 years, again, there's loads of other things I can say, but I'm not going to, I think there's a time and place for it. There is. Anyway, 4 years later then, after all this, I'm at my end now. So I'm thinking I need to move out. Something needs to happen, something needs to give. So my uncle then calls me and says, look, I've got a job opportunity with me. Why don't you come over as a full-time wage? More money that you're on now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm out here. So I literally just handed my notice in. That was it. Then I flourished, mate, for about 6 or 7 months. I was going to work. I was, 21, 22, and literally my team leader was saying, you can go far in this place if you really want to. You can, and all this kind of thing. It was literally just like, I can't believe how committed you are at the age that you are. You always turn up 10 minutes early for your shifts, and you always stay a little bit longer even when you don't need to. So I was really committed.
Doesn't surprise me hearing that, mate. It doesn't surprise me at all.
No, I mean, that's the thing. It's important. The thing is, I'm a bit of a perfectionist myself. OCD with things.
I get that.
Everything in order and that kind of thing. But mate. And then again, I'll touch on saying that basically, so 7-8 months later on, then I wake up one morning. I travel, do my usual route to work. Go through a country lane. Nice day. I can remember it now, and I remember taking a turn into a street. Go up over a speed bump, turn left, and I'm playing it in my mind now, and I can remember going in my car, driving along. I've just come over a speed bump, and there's a school right next to me, so there's kids like crossing the road, so I'm quite aware of everything. All of a sudden, in the corner of my eye, I can see this boy. He's looked the other way, but he hasn't looked my way.
Yeah.
He's stepped out on the road, and I've literally hit him in my car. So I could feel that. I could feel the actual body against the car. The impact of it. So he goes flying over the other side of the road now. So I'm thinking, like, again, shocked, Matty. I'm like, okay, so that just happened. Like, as in, like, so I pull over anyway. Get out get out of the car, and I think, right, I don't know what I'll do here. So I just went over to him and asked if he was all right, which is, again, is a human reaction to do in a moment like that. I said, look, come and sit over in my car. We can, I can call your mum and we can get you to the hospital if that's what you need. He had a, cut lip and blood coming out his nose and stuff. So
he was able to stand and walk over.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So, but anyway, he comes to the car, and I literally reach over, and I've told you about this off. I had a really bad shoulder. This wasn't caused by the accident. Before that, it was a rugby injury that I had years ago. But anyway, open the car, go to open the door, and I dislocate my shoulder. So I'm in agony now, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like the time, the place for this to happen. So anyway, he opens it, comes in, wait for his mum to come along. she looks me up and down as when she arrives, as if to say I'm like a young boy in like a little day room it is. And if you don't know that, people who are watching, it's literally the smallest box car. It's like an in-betweeners car.
It's not a rude boy car, is it? It's not.
It's not.
You're ragging, mate. It's not.
It's not at all, mate. No, exactly. But anyway, she comes along. I say, give her my number. I said, listen, I need to know if he's all right later.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, just got to work, Matty. I got to work. I say, oh, sorry, I'm late. I explain the situation to him. I do call my mum then when I'm in work.
Yeah.
And I say, look, this has happened. She goes, do you think you should come home? I said, no, I'm fine. Honestly, I need to work. I said, I need to keep busy. Otherwise, I'll just literally just think about her all day. And anyway, a week passes. And I remember, Matty, being in work on the production line. And all of a sudden, I felt this like sense of panic come over me. And I start shaking. And I start crying, like literally, like, you know, when you like got that lump in your throat and you can't speak, and I'm literally like shaking, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, what is happening to me right now?
Yeah.
I just come out all of a sudden. Anyway, that was a Thursday, so I thought, right, I need a day off. I need a long weekend. I need to just relax, just let it, just process everything. Well, Sunday comes along. Now I'm sat there thinking, I've got to face all this again tomorrow. I've got to face being like this in a workplace.
Yeah.
No one to talk to. Didn't say anything to anybody. Thought I can't face it.
No.
Anyway, this is going to sound things. All Sunday then I'm planning on what can I do with myself, harm wise. Right.
Well.
So I'm thinking. So I go for a run, right? And you might think, oh, Jan, that's really productive if you're going for a run at this time. And all the way around and thinking, right, I'm just gonna run out in front of the car. Next car that comes along, I'm just gonna do it. Don't do it, you know. Anyway, the day passes. There's all sorts of thoughts going on. So I see my girlfriend at the time. Pick her up, take her to a uni halls where she was, and I said to her, look, I'm not in a good headspace. I'm not in a good place at all. And she said, well, you should have some time off and stuff. I was like, well, yeah, that'd be the best thing I think at the moment that I need. Yeah. Anyway, my boss at the time, my uncle's boss, who was the plant operator, the plant manager, he said, if you don't turn up tomorrow, your job's gone.
Did you explain the situation? Did you explain? No.
I didn't feel like it was 2012. So I didn't feel like it was prevalent then. I know mental health has always been around there, but today is so much better. Still things to work on. Yeah. So Matty, from that, I literally just thought, right, that's it then.
So in between,
leaving I'm trying to timeline it. You know,
I know, but from leaving that job to going there before you had that accident, did you feel more yourself? Did you have a period of time where you were happy, and then the accident sort of spiraled you off again?
Yeah, mate. So I've literally, when I left that job in the sports shop, I literally had this other job. I had loads of money, mate. Considering where I was from on a part-time wage, I thought I went to Bulgaria with my missus, you know, and I've all inclusive, and I thought I'm living the high life now. Did none of those problems from your old job in that time though? Had you sort of put it in a box, and were you okay because you weren't having to face him and go to work? What it like? Not like it had never happened, but had you definitely like parked it for a while and were enjoying yourself? Yeah. You bang on it. Right. Yeah, literally. That's what I did. I thought, right, that's in a way in my head. I thought it's in a box, but that's in my past now. I think about that. Another time. That's what I feel in my head. I thought I've processed that. It's completely fine. But and then sorry to go back to the car. Then I was driving home after being told that I'd lose my job. I thought, right, I've had enough now. So I literally, stupidly, I'm texting my girlfriend on the phone. I said, right, I've had enough. I've all the messages say, I'm sorry, I'm not worthy. I don't feel like I'm worthy enough for you anymore, and all this kind of thing. Saying I'm going to do it. I've had enough. Anyway, I literally go down this one road, and I literally put my foot down on the pedal. I know where, and I put my foot down, and I literally hit a corner, and I flipped my car about 3 or 4 times. And I remember Matty is like, so I'm led down. So I'm the car door. I'm looking up, and the car door is like up there, and this is on the side. And I'll be honest, mate, I was there thinking, like, I was led there thinking, what have you done? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Mate,
there's no way of doing it, you know.
Oh.
But the fire service come along, literally about close the road. Fire service come along. I'm cut out the car, and then they basically take me to A&E. Thankfully, I'm fine. I don't know how nothing's happened to me.
No severe injuries at all, mate.
No, my seatbelt was off. Everything. My intentions were to do harm.
Yeah.
A&E, I was there, mate, and then I come home. Then I literally remember, and it's quite hard still now to think about it. But I remember being there, stood in my kitchen. So my mum and dad and my brother and my uncle and auntie were there. So my uncle and auntie went because my brother was a bit younger at the time. So they were looking after him whilst I was in hospital. And then I remember them saying, "Oh, is it true? Like you did this on purpose?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." I'll be honest. Yeah. I can't cope anymore.
I was gonna ask you that, mate. Obviously, there has to be a conversation, don't there, where your loved ones do come to you and say what happened. I'm assuming originally you're in an accident. They just assume you've had an accident, you've crashed your car. But how did they know this was intentional? Are they being informed by the police, the ambulance crew? Is that how it works? You know, when you're rushed to hospital, do you have to explain to them?
So my partner at the time, that girl I was with, she actually texted my mum and dad.
Of course, after you were texting,
like,
of course.
Saying, "Oh, just a heads up." So I kind of knew then, but in a way, it was kind of like I kind of thanked her in a way for doing it.
Yeah.
She was. I wouldn't have probably. I'd be. Oh no, I just clip the car, stupid.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But
did your missus at the time take the threat seriously? Did you think I mean, a lot. I mean, I've seen it in my own life. I've had those messages off people in the past, and I've reacted, and I've stopped what I was doing and gone to the houses. It's happened twice to me where I've reacted to it because it's. I don't think you ever fully believe they're going to do it.
No.
But you could never take the chance on not thinking it's serious. And if you're able to react, I mean, obviously you're in the car at this point. Probably don't know where you are to a degree. There's not much you can do in that instance, but like it's one of them where you probably think, nah, surely not.
That's the thing.
You can't not react, mate, just in case. And it's something that I've experienced a couple of times, and it's very harrowing to get messages of someone who's clearly distressed.
Yeah,
I can imagine what state of mind you're in. The fact that you actually attempted it, it must have been, like I say, at that point, it must be such a hard read for the person on the other side of that phone, and a very 100%. Helpless read as well. So. We're quite interested of how that sort of went in the conversation you had with your family. For you personally, now I can see how like upsetting and triggering it is for you now to think of that moment, because the look in your parents' eyes and stuff must be a disappointment. Also worry of how do we stop this happening again as a parent, as a family member. Great, he hasn't achieved his goal, but up here, still not right. He's still not fixed. How do we fix him to stop this happening again? It must be such a massive panic and a burden on your loved ones to have someone around who's attempted this, mate. And even though it was unsuccessful, when's the next time?
Well, that's a great sort of thing that you've just said there. Is literally, I remember seeing, my dad's a lovely guy, but that was the first time I think I've ever saw him cry. Yeah. So I said that. And then the day after, he was literally bawling in his eyes. Like, he'd randomly just be like, "You okay?" I'm like, yeah. Then he'd just cry. I'd be like, "Mate, I'm fine. Honestly, I'm okay." But anyway, I'll be honest, Matty. Like I said, I'm not one of that. My family support network over the years has been fantastic. I'm not one to be like, "Oh, I've come from rough upbringing." It's just unfortunate things have happened. So I just want to say that, like my family, my world, and stuff. And
you're lucky you've got that support, and it goes to show, doesn't it? Even though you've got that support in that moment, it still weren't enough. So you look at certain people out there who haven't got that support, and how they must be feeling when they haven't got anyone to lean on. Don't get me wrong, you didn't feel able to speak and open up to your loved ones, fair enough, but at least they're there. Some people aren't lucky enough to have that, mate. You're dead lucky that you've got that family, and so you're still here today to share your story, which is fantastic.
That's the thing, mate. I'm blessed to have family and friends as well. And this is what like Leeds United and the YouTube scene has done for me. Like meeting people like yourself, Matty. Like an absolute legend of a guy, and the only Leeds bros, and Connor at One Leeds as well. There's little things that everyone's helped me in certain ways. But yeah, mate, literally going after that then is, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a big year gap then from telling my mum and dad, a year or so later, then my mum and dad get divorced.
Is that hard on you as well, even though you're growing up?
Massively. I'm 22. I feel like the house that I've grown up in, and I'm no longer, you know, my dad put it up for sale, and literally we're all moving out, and that's all I've known. Growing up with my brother and my sister. My little sister is she's in high school as well. Then there's a 9-year difference between me and my sister, so
she'll have been at a hard age for a breakup, was she, little sister?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was really, really tough. And I was again, it's one of those other things that, you know, it breaks up the family, and again, I'm going through all my stuff, and I feel like what is going on? Like literally, it's just complete madness, mate. And again, that's another chapter.
What was day-to-day life like then? You know, obviously you lost your job. You had that. You know, you tried to do what you tried to do, and I assume you eventually found work again, and you're just trying to put it behind you. How was the day-to-day life after that? Mask on and just go for it every day. Just do your best, or did you find happiness again for a period of time, Jam?
Do you know what? I'm probably embarrassed to say, but I tried to get me back into work, and I just couldn't do it, mate. for a number of years. So I'd say probably about 2012. I'd say till about 2014, 15.
2 or 3 years where you just couldn't face work.
Couldn't do it, mate. I went in. I'd go for the interview, would have a job, turn up. First day, I'd literally be in floods of tears after a few hours.
The anxiety is just so intense as well, even thinking about going in.
The anxiety was there. I tell you what, this is sort of what I want to touch on, is you know, I didn't realise at the time, but I was like obviously suffering with PTSD. So when I was with these like sort of symptoms I was experiencing in like new workplaces, my mind was taking me back to when I first last felt like it. So when I was like sweating and like all these like clammy hands and stuff, and like my mind would automatically take me back to my car crash and obviously the abuse that I was suffering over a number of years. So I just felt like, you know, as they say, fight or flight. I took the flight option, it was the easiest option. Took that all every single time. I'm embarrassed to say that, really, because
not to be embarrassed about, mate. Not to be embarrassed
about. That was, and then my dad again, my family are just amazing. But again, there was like a little part-time job that cropped up in like a local Sainsbury's. My dad said, "Why don't you just do like 12, 16 hours a week just to get get yourself back into it and just get." I was like, that's a good idea, Dad. You know, I'll give that a crack. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months, and then again, my mind's playing tricks on me. Then, and you know, I leave work and I'm just walking, mate. I'm literally, no one knows where I am. I'm walking and walking and walking and walking. People are ringing me. People are calling me. And I'm just literally like, in my head, I'm zoned out, completely zoned out. I don't know what I'm thinking, mate. But people are worrying about me. So, as you can imagine, mate, I'm gone.
Of course. Of course. Every time you don't reply to a phone call at this point, I'm assuming they're worried, you know, the constant worry for them. Bless them.
But my dad then says, look, just stop. He said, anyway, I look at my phone then and I think, right, I need to stop now. So my dad then comes along and goes, right, he said, do me a favour. He said, look, it's a job. Like, but I don't want you doing anything stupid from it. He said, we will get there. We'll eventually, you know, we'll find some sort of.
What a guy.
I'm trying to like thing it in my mind. I'm trying to sort of map it all out and
don't
stuff.
Stress it, yeah. Don't stress it.
I'm trying to pick out the major sort of things, but yeah, that happened. It was a bit of a routine matter. I'd get a job, and then I'd end up bottling it and, you know, throwing in the towel and literally just thinking.
It's not bottling it, mate. I say this about you quite a lot. You put yourself down more than anyone I've probably ever met. I know we haven't physically met, but you put yourself down. You give yourself zero credit. It's not bottling it, mate. You've got something seriously wrong, you know. Something serious, PTSD, like you say, the anxiety. It's all linked in with your mental health battle, mate. And like I say, you're hard to throw shade on yourself because you didn't work. Like, mate, come on. There's so many people who can work and don't, and you're physically battling something there every single day that some of us will never understand. And the thought of struggling to leave my house. Right, and I had this for a little while, but I didn't have the sort of symptoms you've got with it, with a mass anxiety and not being able to function. I could just about get to work and then I'd lock myself at home. The thought of not even being able to work, because that adds stresses to it as well, Jam. I know you might have it. I know you won't have had your own family and a house and stuff potentially. You might have still been with your mum or your dad, I'm not too sure. But in terms of financial, in terms of, money makes the world go round, unfortunately it does. And that's it's limiting your life. Being able to improve your quality of life and go do things that bring you joy and happiness, and whether it's just going to cinema or going on a holiday, you need money for that. So that must have been difficult as well, not being sort of in charge of your own destiny, but crippled by the anxiety, and it's holding you back from ever improving your life.
That's the thing, mate. At the time, I was literally just coasting through life, and I didn't really have much hope for the future. I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd see 30 years old. So it sounds awful, but that was the way I was feeling at the time. And, from that period after I started that job in there, it was literally just like, it got worse and worse, mate. Self-harm and overdosing on tablets and being in a hospital bed.
How many times did you overdose? Have you done that a few times?
Off the top of my head, I think about 3 or 4 times.
And what does that entail? Does that entail another message to a loved one, taking the tablets, them coming and finding you?
It was a cry for help, Matty, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It was a cry. I'm not going to sit here and say, every time I wanted to do damage.
No.
It just wasn't.
I would have thought one of the 4, if it were a massive intention, yours probably would. I mean, flipping your car, that's you really trying. I'm assuming 1 in 4 would have worked, would have happened if you'd have really wanted it. So I was sort of expecting you to say, more of a cry for help, more of a please help me, I don't know where to turn here.
Yeah, so I think it just 3 or 4 times of the overdose, and was it 3 or 4? Do you know what? It sounds awful. I think it might even be 1 or 2 more.
Wow.
But mate, it's hospital visits and the normal self-harming stuff like cutting and stuff, and which is obviously I'm embarrassed to sort of say about, but literally just mate. And then I thankfully then I think about 8 years ago I meet a girl who I'm still with now.
How did you meet? Is this while you're still struggling, John? And if so, how have you met her?
So I met her on a dating app. So basically, So no, but I felt like, do you know what, mate? I felt a bit embarrassed as well, mate. Like, as in, like, I was on there and I was trying to make out that I was like at this high flying job and all this kind of thing, and trying to be a bit, putting on the mask again and pretending.
Yeah, of course,
that kind of thing. But I messaged her, and believe it or not, she didn't message me back for a day or 2. So I thought, sod it. I'm going to move on. But she messaged me back then 2 days later saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, do you want to meet up for a coffee? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So met her for a coffee, mate, and I'm not afraid to say it, but I literally fell in love as soon as I saw her.
Did you?
Like, as in, literally, I knew as soon
as she just make you feel alive for the first time in a long time? You just felt something you've not felt in a long time, yeah.
Exactly. Meet her, mate. We talk over coffee and stuff, and then as the dates progress, then like she sort of says to me, like, what do you do for work? I said, I told her everything. I opened up to her. Now that could have gone 1 or 2 ways, mate. It could have gone like, right, I'm not bothering with you, which is fair enough. It's a lot to take on. Then she started opening up about obviously her experiences with mental health and stuff with her dad and stuff. But then literally, mate, it was from that. Then she stuck by me. She never rushed me. She never thought. She said, look, I'm here to support you. This is how it works. I'm not here to judge. Absolutely. Whenever you're ready to move on, you can. And things were getting better and better, and there were still things that were happening. I do want to just sort of touch on one sort of big thing that happened during this time. I think it was sort of when the sort of straw broke the camel's back, so to speak. I'd say it's probably 2019, 2020, maybe. So it was in Christmas holidays, and then basically I remember feeling terrible over Christmas, thinking like, as you know, it's a time of joy and all this kind of thing. So I thought, right, I just can't do it anymore. So I just thought, right, so I'm in bed one night and I'm planning what I'm going to do the next day. So I literally get up stupid o'clock in the morning, about say 6. I'm gonna go for a walk now. So we had a little puppy at the time, only one of them, and he was downstairs. My partner heard me get up. She said, you're just taking the dog for a walk. That's fine. I wasn't.
No.
I planned it in my head, so I thought, right, heard the door slam. I thought, I left my phone here. I literally was gone from about 6 in the morning until 1 or 2 o'clock.
And where'd you gone?
I literally just went. There was a woods around here, so I literally walked around the woods, walked wherever I could. Ended up somewhere that I didn't even know where I was, so I had to like ask people for directions and all this kind of thing. And like obviously it was, and again, there was police out there looking for me at the time. I remember, and something just clicked in my head, mate. I said, I gotta get back now because people are gonna be worrying about me. And as soon as I turn up, mate, my partner is in floods tears, literally on verge of a breakdown. And it sounds awful saying it, Matty, but I literally don't care. My mindset is literally like she said, I know when you're suffering really bad, she said, your eyes turn. It's like you turn into a different person.
Like she says.
It's mad, mate. Honestly, she said, you would never hurt me. She said, but like literally, I know that my emotions don't mean anything to you when you're in that zone.
It's like you're numb to normal life, and anything positive that you know's there, your brain's not registering it, that it's even in front of you, mate, I suppose, at that point, and you've just got the blinkers on. That's
it. And then, you know, my mind's a bit fuzzed up because there's so many different things I'm trying to like piece all together.
100%.
So someone called me, a police woman's on the phone, and she's talking to me, and she's like, oh, you know, did you mean to do harm? And I said, no, nothing like that at all. And what I should have done was been open and honest and said, I probably would have got the help that I would have needed there and then.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Cracked on my life again.
What, John, can I just pause? Sorry, mate. Can I just pause you?
No, go on, mate.
Obviously, what made that come on again? Because obviously, before you sort of touched on that, you'd met your partner you're with now.
Yeah.
I know from speaking to you in general, you would say she's the reason you're still here today. She's the one that saved you. Again, in that moment, you were with her, things were going well. Is it just something that's ingrained in you that now and again you'll just have this moment where hopefully you say no, not no more, but is it something in the past that no matter how happy you are, it just grabs hold of you and you don't know when it's coming? And is it that past just coming back? And is that all it was this time? Even though you said you were happy and she were amazing, she were everything you'd want, you still had that moment again, Jam?
This is the thing. Well, that was the pattern I was having that year. At that time, it was literally like a few things really. I thought in my head, I don't deserve. I just didn't think I deserved to be happy. To be honest,
I can imagine you as a proud man feeling like that. You know, when because you've got a lot of baggage. It's a lot of baggage to, you know, for someone to take on. She's fallen in love with you for the person you are, which is an absolute beautiful person, mate, your class. But as a man, you're only going to see the negatives and think, second guess yourself, as you do, famously, you do. And you're just going to think, why she would miss you be better off without me? And that's eating away at you there, isn't it?
That's it, mate. And again, it took one occasion, and later on where everything just sort of flipped. Then, and I got the help that I needed, and that was basically from an awful situation where I woke up one day and I said, I'm going to do some serious harm now this time. I said to my partner, she's like, no, you're not. I was like, I am. So then we went to my mental health services, and I said, I need to be sectioned. I said, I'm not safe.
You just didn't trust yourself at this point.
No, I didn't feel.
But you were brave enough to open up on this day and speak out because you knew what you were capable of doing.
That's it, mate. And literally, then I went. Stace took. She was. This is a nice place to be. I said, no. I just need to be on my own. I said, I literally need to. And she were in wrong, mate. Turned up, walked in the unit, and I didn't like what I saw. I didn't. No. I thought in my head, mate, it sounds awful. I thought it's going to be like a retreat you see on the films. It's going to be like It's going to be a nice sunny little, you know, flowers in the garden and all this kind of thing. And you're thinking, just mad now, but I can laugh about it now. I remember going in and sat on this like bed. It was like a prison bed, a mattress, and then it was literally bare, mate. Everything was bare in there because literally I was a threat to myself. So I didn't have my access to my phone charger because I thought that I was gonna, do what I was gonna do.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is where it flips now, and this is where it gets really sort of goes up.
Yeah.
Positive. I'm sat there now thinking, what am I doing here? Literally, it was like a light switch. Thinking, I can't be here. I cannot be here.
No.
So I say to the nurse, I said, look, I need to speak to someone a minute. I just need to explain what's going on.
Yeah.
Speak to her. I said, look, I've had a bit of a wobble. I said, this is what's happened in the past. Like, I've sort of talked to you about it, and tried to condense it down into quite a few things. And then she said, right, as long as she was happy, she said, I'm going to speak to the head practitioner. We'll talk about it. She said, right, we're going to let you go.
Wow.
But we're your partner here first. Go home with her. And then I literally broke down in the car, and I promised her that day that I would never ever do anything stupid again. Thankfully, Matty, I got the help that I needed. What happened was I went to a psychiatrist, explained everything that we were talking about, and then she said to me, "Do you know that you got PTSD?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "PTSD? Got a bit of anxiety." That's what I said. That's all I've got. She said, "You're literally the traits that you're showing, and what you're telling me, that's all linked to that." Now, as you probably think, Matty, and as other people may think watching, you need to serve in the army. You need to serve in forces to have that. You don't. Let me tell you. Yeah. So from there, then, mate, I basically got asked to do. It's called EMDR treatments. If anyone's watching, they can Google that and find out what that is. It was a 2-week intensive course, basically, where you'd be sat in a meeting room, and it'd be a psychiatrist, and then there'd be like a memory that they said, right, we need to talk me through the memory, go from when it first happened, go through the process. And what they would do then, Matty, they would pause me and stop me, and it'd be like a tripod in the room, and it'd be like a bar on there, then it'd be like a light going like that. You ever seen the films like the metronome when it goes like?
Yep.
She said, follow it with your eyes, and then she goes, I want you to tell me it now. And what I was doing scientifically, Matty, it was literally my brain was processing. There was a part of my brain that hadn't processed what happened in the past. So each day I would focus on one big memory that was causing me such distress and that kind of thing. So I would literally be like doing all these lights and stuff. And I was at that point, I was going to do anything that was going to help.
Yeah.
Right. So literally I thought, I'm going to throw myself into it and really give it a go.
Yeah.
Changed my life. 2 weeks.
Wow.
2 weeks intensive therapy. EMDR is called. Light therapy. So
did you stay over, or were you just there and back in there?
No, sorry, I was there and back in it. So I say intense. It was Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday and Thursday.
Right, okay.
But they said, you're going to need days of rest. I thought, what are you on about? Literally, mate, I was zonked out for those days of rest. And the dreams I was having were actually crazy.
Wow.
But, mate, if I hadn't received that treatment, I wouldn't be here now.
No,
the same thing, mate.
That's mad. That what I'll say is the fact you were sectioned to a degree, I suppose, in that situation where you'd gone to that. I can't believe you got out. I mean, I was married to a mental health nurse. My ex-wife was a mental health nurse, should I say? And I know the level of stress they have in determining who can go home and who they can send home, because if something happens to that person, it comes back to the person that signed the document to leave. So hearing you say you're there, you saw how bad it was, you realised it wasn't for you, and you went another route. I'm actually shocked to hear someone actually signed you off to go. Do you know, when you look at your history in your past? But luckily going in there, it set you on the path to ultimately get that treatment that did work. You know, and I've never heard of that, and I'm actually really intrigued by that.
I have to send you obviously off the camera.
I'm just really interested about that. I've never heard that at all, mate. And the fact that it's worked for you, it's mad, isn't it? How they've had to go. It's like they've had to go right into your psyche and right into your brain and pause it at the moment your trauma's really strong and sort of let your brain digest what's happened. I've never heard of it.
And you'd feel so. This is kind of what I was right. This is why I mentioned about, when I said about the hand wash when I was 10. That was one memory that was my last memory that I did on my last day. And like she said, right, you've got to be in the moment. You've got to take yourself back there. And people will probably laugh and think I'm fibbing here, but when I was doing it, I could feel the taste of the thing in my mouth. Wow. I can actually feel it.
The memory is that strong. It's giving you physical symptoms, isn't it?
I said to one of them, I said, I'm going to have to stop a minute. I'm going to be sick. And they're like, right, okay. And I honestly, people may think I'm lying there, but I'm not that type to lie and think about things like that. And she thought, wow, this is changing my life, and it's flourished from then. I went back in. So the job that I'm in now, I've been there for 4 years. Consistently.
Is this the job you've had since? The only job you've had since? Yes, you finally cracked the code of found somewhere you're comfortable with. You know what you're doing. You're getting good at it. You know you're progressing in your job.
Yeah,
you enjoy it to a degree, I suppose. You do.
But this is the thing. I've in the past before I've just done a few. Like I may have done 1 or 2 days and thought, right, I can't do it now. But now I'm literally like, doesn't even cross my mind. Don't get me wrong, I'm on medication as well to help, but
100%. And obviously, you need that. And I assume if you don't take that, you'll struggle to a degree. But the working at home a lot,
helps.
Awful. Does that help?
Do
you think you'd be okay going into an office setting, or do you not know because you've not done it since? Or
well, funny enough, they because my sort of head office is in London, but they've got an office in Bristol,
right?
So it's like an hour away from where I live.
Yeah,
but I've been there. I've driven there myself, and that's mad in itself. Driving to somewhere I don't.
It's a long way of thinking about as well, though, isn't it?
A
long drive. Yeah.
But honestly, mate, I literally did it. Each time I did it, it got easier and easier as it does. Your mind just gets programmed to sort of the way it is. And I go in now and again. I even get a training, and that's something that before I would even dream of doing. To be honest, mate, is absolutely mad.
Before we sort of touch on what you've got coming up, which is obviously amazing and positive for you and your family, like. Just a basic, simple question, mate. Are you proud of yourself?
Honestly, mate, I really am. Like,
I'm glad to
I can take a step back now and think like everything I've been through. And again, I could probably talk to you for hours and hours about things that have happened, and I could give you like a lowdown of everything that happened. But what I'm trying to sort of stress on you is doing this video with you is I may look like quite a level-headed person, like I've got my stuff together and all this kind of thing, but honestly, I've been there. I've been in hell. I've been literally there and back. I'm here now, telling the tale, so to speak. So,
and that is something to be really proud of, mate. You've been, like I say, you physically tried to end your life. You've done the cries for help. Don't worry about the dog, mate. It's fine.
Sorry, yeah.
And then obviously. Sort of admitting you probably need sectioning, and you went down that road as well, and you've done the therapy. You've sort of ticked every box in terms of how far you've tried to take it and how far you've gone to get the help. The hardest sort of thing to speak about when you speak about mental health, I think, is always your family. Luckily, thank God you're still here today, so they're still there to watch you. Have this child that you're going to have. Your lass is pregnant, which I know is amazing. But these are all these milestones and things that your family wouldn't be seeing now and wouldn't have these, beautiful memories you've created. So even though they still carry that pain, because there's no way you get over that, the PTSD you've had from stuff, the anxiety you've had, there'll be certain times if you were to answer a phone call for a couple of rings in next month, next week, that'll probably still come back. They'll have those memories from those moments, and that must be hard for you to carry, Jan. But I'm dead proud of you as man to man that you've struggled and you've said enough's enough. But ultimately, you're still here for a reason, and I believe that's to speak out, because you speak very very openly about this, as I do.
I think you've got to, Matty. I think you have to, and I'm not just saying it, but you've inspired me to come on the video in the first place. So massive credit to you for letting me come on you and just giving my sort of view on things. And I've tried to piece everything I can together in my life quite a lot. Just obviously I've probably been quite, how do I put it, sort of, I can't think of the word, Matty, but I'm trying. You probably feel like
you've been a bit vague on certain topics, because you probably could have done an hour on 3 or 4 phases of your life. But honestly, it's not at all. It's the main message here is you've touched on stuff there. I genuinely feel like there's a little bit for everyone within this story. Like when you struggle with your mental health, you've got the family, the guilt on the family. You'll have people watch this, mate, who've attempted suicide and are still here, thank God. And people who've had things happen in workplaces, been signs of abuse. You've gone through a lot, really. Like we say when we spoke off air, it's your sort of story, knowing your personality and becoming friends with you, has been quite hard for me to sort of listen to and deal with. You know me.
Imagine.
I'm probably the worst person in the world to do a mental health podcast because I get so invested, and it's like you see my eyes now. I'm quite welled up by it because it's just, you're a beautiful man, it's a beautiful soul, and you've got, you know, and I know what you've got coming. Like let's just touch on that. You know, you and the missus are going to welcome a baby soon. You messaged me the other day. You've been to pick your pram and all your set, and you've been building bits up, flat pack. And how are you looking forward to that next chapter of your life, bud?
I'm just absolutely over the moon with it, mate. Because like you're touching on again, I'm a bit negative. My partner had a miscarriage last year, bless her, and that was a hard, tough time of it, and literally it was awful, right? But anyway, from that, it's actually, in a way, I'd like to spin a positive on it and think actually it's made this time even more, amazing, sort of thing. And it's like, I'm going to be like a dad. I have to pinch myself, mate, sometimes and think like, this is such a precious thing that I've been able to do. A lot of people, unfortunately, are not in the position to do it themselves sometimes. Over the moon, mate. Absolutely, I can't wait.
Do you feel any anxiety about becoming a dad, or is it all just joy at the minute? Or have you got any?
No, don't get me wrong. We're both not naive to be like, it's going to be easy, it's going to be a cakewalk, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be literally just. But mate, I'm ready to embrace it. I feel like that's one of my purposes in life, is to be a dad to someone, and to sort of my experiences that I've gone through in my life. 100%. I can say, look, son, this is what's happened to me in my time. We can go there through there.
Any problems? Any problems? They have you. Like you say, you're going to be a great role model. Great role model to keep. You're going to be a great role model to look up to and say, just keep going when you're struggling. I don't know how open you'd be with your child. I assume, knowing you quite well now, that you'd be really open. Any questions that they wanted to know about you personally, I'm sure you'd touch on. And like I say, your story is really inspiring. And it's a little boy, isn't it? Little boy. You having a little boy?
No one knows that.
No one knows that.
I'm joking. I got you.
Oh my God. That was almost a wasted hour, that, mate. Cancellation. Everybody knows what needs to know.
Yeah. No, it's not a secret, mate.
Good.
But that's another side of my personality, Matt. I like to have a laugh and wind people up, and
100%, and that's fine. You bloody got me, then you bugger. Yeah. But no, like I say, first thing you need to do, mate, is get a Leeds United baby grow or vest at least 12 feet. Have you got one already?
A little baby grow. I think I'm not sure if I sent you it, but it's like a little hat and a little like badge there, and it's got the blue and white. It's got the yellow and white stripes across the chest. And, mate, it just looked. I think I'd wear it, to be honest.
I assume your family, your mum and dad, are all looking forward to being grandparents. Is this the first grandparent, or?
Yeah, so it's me. I'm the oldest, so I'm 33. My brother is 31, and my sister is 23. So I'm the first grandchild for them. So they're buzzing for me, Matty. As obviously the stuff I've gone through in the past, but obviously the first grandchild, and they're literally over the moon for me. They're so proud of me for what I've got. They always say to me every day, like, we're the proudest parents ever, and I literally just. It makes my heart fall, mate. Honestly, it does tear me up a little bit.
Mate, honestly, if your parents are saying they're proud of you, you've got a missus that absolutely adores you, and you've got a child, don't we?
Yeah.
Leads you in Premier League. Does life get much better, Jam? Really? When you think where you've been, does life get much better than that, buddy? What more do you need?
With Carlsberg, they say that if Carlsberg did weekends or so.
Well, like I say, it's very important in it to talk about the dark moments you've had, but if you're fortunate to still be here, that share that story, let people know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, Jam. And like I say, for everything you've gone through, it's something you carry now, till the day you take your last breath. You'll carry that, it'll always be there. But it's a very inspiring story, very inspiring story. And like I say, I think the world of you, mate. The fact you're so brave to open up and speak about some very touchy subjects, sore subjects that not a lot of people would touch on and go into. And I applaud you on your bravery, mate. You're an absolute legend and warrior, and I'm dead happy for you for this next chapter of your life, mate.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, no, like I said, I appreciate you letting me come on and talk about my things that have happened in the past. And what I will say, if just to sort of finish up what I'm going to say is, if you're in that mindset, if you think it's never ever going to get better, trust me, it does. it does get better eventually. Doesn't matter if it's weeks, months, years, keep at it. Literally, all you need is that one turning point. And if you feel like you can't get out of bed one morning, okay, try and get out, try and get out and try and go for a nice walk, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just build yourself up to be the only person that'll know that is ready is you yourself. So if you believe in yourself and if you think that you can get there, do it. Try not to think about things too much, which is what I still do now sometimes. But it's a challenge, mate. Life's a battle. But what we do, doesn't matter how many times you get hit, we keep going forwards, we keep moving, keep getting back up again, and just keep battling life. Things happen, and like I said, it's just I'm here for anybody as well if they ever want to chat to me and you think this mad Welshman, what's he on about? But literally, honestly, Matty, I can't think of the words to thank you enough, mate, because you're a legend yourself and for having me on. So I feel blessed to talk to you about it because I just, thank you very much, mate.
I feel blessed to know you, mate. You're an absolute legend. But the next conversation we will be having will be about Leeds United on a stream in a few weeks. So hopefully we'll beat Everton or whatever it is. But yeah, I'll have you on chat. I'll have you on the other channel. Imagine not being Leeds. Hopefully many times throughout the season. I'd love you to come on and chat. And I don't see you saying no to me. Even when you become a dad, you'll still have time for me. So love that. But yeah, we'll call it there, mate. So thank you so much for doing this, Jam. Please please subscribe and all that jargon. But yeah, please leave a comment for Jam as well if it's inspired you, if anything sort of touched you, let us know. It's all about opening up, and hopefully, like we always say, Jam, if one person sees it and resonates with it and gets anything out of it, that these videos are always worth doing. And it's not about anything else other than just showing people that things get better. And
that one person, Matty, as you always say, just the one person. That's all it takes. And if they reach out and if they give a comment, that'll make my day as well. So please, just
lovely.
Do what you said.
Thanks, Jam. Thanks everyone for watching. Please take care. See you soon. Bye bye.
Take care.